on my, like in a mirror on my screen.
Oh,
And we're like,
all right. I would like to call to order the January 19th meeting of the City of Monona Finance and Personnel Committee. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Thomas,
Here.
Alder Wood,
Here,
Mayor O'Connor,
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the
So
December?
moved.
second,
Any changes or additions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Minutes are approved. There are no appearances. There is no unfinished business. Under new business, item 6A, consideration of ordinance 1-21-737, updating the fees, fines, and penalties schedule. Is there a motion to approve this?
move to approve.
Second.
Brian, were you gonna, or Mark? I don't know who's gonna talk about this.
yeah, the highlighted changes are proposed in yellow in your packet materials. The main changes really have to do with ambulance transportation fees, and then a couple of changes for standard things for boards and commissions, and a couple of other kind of miscellaneous changes. Happy to take any specific questions you might have on the changes.
Anyone have any questions? Doug?
Yeah. I guess I would ask Chief Jerry about the ambulance, proposed increases in the ambulance fees.
Well, good evening. Hopefully my microphone works this
Yeah.
evening. It wasn't working so well earlier today. The ambulance fees, when I looked at what was approved in 2019, what I did is reach out through LifeQuest to get a comparison of what we have around us. And then I kind of went middle of the road. The reason there's additional fees that weren't there before is we're updating our billing to what current standards are for insurance practice. So the previous fees were based on either resident or non-resident. Current insurance practice is based on what we actually do on a call. So if we show up and it's a very basic call and we take them to the hospital, it's a BLS call. If we show up and we start an IV, we do a 12 lead, any of the cardiac monitoring is considered an ALS1, and we can charge more for that at the insurance level. Same thing, ALS2 is your high level calls, cardiac arrest, significant trauma calls where we may give 3 or more medications. We're allowed to charge more for that on the insurance side. The base rate on Medicare also reflects that billing schedule, the BLS, ALS1, and ALS2, and the resident, non-resident. So Medicare matches that, it's just that they pay less. So considerably less. They do have a good deal worked out, so we make less money off of Medicare, but we are allowed to bill based on the tier of service that we provide. So that's why we are updating it this way. So for folks that do have private insurance, which is about 30% of the folks that we transport, this is what the insurance companies will pay. Folks that are Medicare, Medicaid, they get a reduced rate, but we can still bill out by that tier of service that we provide. That's why there appears to be such an increase in the levels of service. I tried to stay within the dollar amounts that were already approved by the council last year and not raise the rates outside of those bounds. And then I also used the LifeQuest survey that they provided in 2020 to other services in the area to see where we fit. So I wanted to stay middle of the range, didn't want to be the highest, didn't want to be the lowest, wanted to be right in the middle of the curve, which is where we sit. Public Safety Committee had that information as well. I'm happy to share it with whoever wants to look at it. If somebody wants some boring reading to fall asleep to, I'm more than happy to share it to whoever wants it. But that should be most of them there. The bottom half of the fees that Public Safety approved are the no transport fees, which we did not have anything in place for that. So this allows us, if we provide services on a call, but don't transport, it allows us to bill. If they're Medicare or Medicaid patients, they won't pay regardless. They don't allow us to bill unless we transport the patient. But for private insurance folks, they will get a bill for no transports if we provided a service.
Okay, thanks. So you said about 30% of the people you transport have private insurance.
Correct.
And then it's mostly Medicare, or how many, or no insurance? What, do you know what the breakdown is?
Roughly, without looking at my notes, we run about 53% Medicare, Medicaid patients, about 30%, 29 to 30% private insurance, and the remainder are self-pay, for folks with no insurance, no Medicare, no Medicaid.
Okay,
Interesting.
thank you.
And any other, Alder Thomas?
So if you get a call and you don't transport, Medicare doesn't pay anything even if you render assistance to the victim?
Correct. Medicare and Medicaid are based, if you look at the definition of pre-hospital care for Medicare or Medicaid, we're defined as transport providers. We're not defined as healthcare providers. So unless you transport, Medicare and Medicaid will not pay.
Okay, well, and the reason I ask is that, you responded to a friend yesterday and they wanted someone bandaged, but not transported. You do that, but you don't charge for it, but we don't charge for it?
There is a charge for that. I will say that particular patient was transported yesterday.
Yeah, I do know that. But
Yeah, if they were not transported, if we show up and provide a service, there is a fee for that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it seems to make sense to have more of a tiered series of prices than we had before. Anyone else, any more questions about this? I had a question about the community center fees. Does this mean, and Doug, maybe you can answer this, that we are not, it kind of appears to me that there are no more fees at all, period, for the community center. And I know that's because we're no longer scheduling events there, but are we also not scheduling, like, a Girl Scout troop that wants to meet once a month, or is that still ongoing? Do you know?
No, I don't know with enough confidence to answer that. I think we're not doing any outside rentals at all right now.
I know we aren't now, but once we reopen, would we, just for not weekend events, but
Right. Yeah, I think so.
because I don't, and maybe they just aren't charged. I just, it looks like all of the
What,
fees have
no,
been taken
what
off.
page is that on?
20 starts on,
It's on 19 and goes into 20.
yeah.
Well, it includes the senior center as well.
True. And it also has rentals taken up, fees taken out for the senior center. Because, we used to have some meetings down there too, I know. I was just curious. I knew that we weren't doing events, but I didn't realize that we weren't doing any kind of meetings there. So unless there's just there wasn't a fee charge, because a lot of these are like 1 to 3 hours. That would be for a meeting that would fit.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, Doug, did you?
I think part of it has to do with the concern about the security of the building when there are the
Kids are,
not daycare, the kids are there. So, but yeah, but I'd really have to ask Jake.
okay. Leah,
to be
did you?
sure.
Jake will be on for sure for the 7 p.m. council meetings. If you have
Okay.
a question,
Okay.
about that, you can feel free to ask him there.
Leah, did you have something?
I was going to clarify that, yeah, I think Jake can answer those questions when he comes on, but
Okay.
I also believe that I think Jake budgeted to have no outside groups renting the community center at all for 2021.
Okay.
And what he'll do beyond that, or what the park board will do, beyond that, beyond 2021, I think is still undecided. But I think he's thinking that he's going to have school groups utilizing the building anyway, probably throughout the whole school year, and then summer groups maybe in the summer. So I think he just decided not to do anything for 2021 in terms of
So not evenings either.
right.
Okay, all right. Any other questions about the fee schedule? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Motion passes. Next, item 6B, consideration of resolution 21-1-2460, amending the 2021 capital budget for the purchase of fire and EMS equipment. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Chief McMullen?
Good evening again. So one of the first things I did when I started is try to put together a comprehensive gear inventory for all the stuff that we currently have. One of the things I quickly realized is we had about 25 sets of outdated gear, some of it so outdated that it was actually illegible. So I couldn't even get a date off of it, including several sets that were issued to some of our newer folks. So thanks to the town of Madison and the work by the council earlier, or late last year, I should say, we were able to get most of our new folks outfitted in gear that is at least current. Starting in January, MATC will no longer allow people to come participate in any type of class or the burn tower unless you're in NFPA compliant gear, which means it has to be within 10 years of date. They've been warning of this for the last 5 years. I think there were some services who thought they weren't serious about it. But as of January 1st, if your gear is out of date, they will not let you into the burn tower. They won't let you do any of the training stuff. That's everything from helmets to boots. Everything has to be NFPA compliant. So in doing the gear inventory, the council approved $20,000 in gear purchases on the fire side of the capital budget. In working my way through the capital budget this year, trying to figure out what was needed, what wasn't needed, the AED replacement that was approved is not needed. The AEDs we have are correct. They do not need to be replaced. They can be updated if AHA ever updates their guidance. These AEDs can be updated. So what I'd like to propose is we utilize that money that was allocated for the AED replacement for 2 projects. One of them is to increase the amount of gear that I can buy this year. We're going to look at all total about 10 sets of gear, maybe 11. I worked with 4 different vendors to try and get the price down. And based on what we were paying, I sent the spec out. I got several bids back, actually got about $600 cheaper a set than what we were paying. But this also includes helmets and boots that will go with the new sets of gear. The other deficiency that I saw when I started it is the folks that we have that are EMS only are actually issued no gear. So we have a couple of folks that have been here almost 2 years that literally got issued a sweatshirt and no turnout gear whatsoever because they were considered EMS only. They climb inside a car just as much as any of my firefighters. They're out in the same car accidents, structure fires, car fires as my firefighters. So I have 2 folks now that are EMS only. I did have a third, but she has started fire school already. So I got her a set of gear, turnout gear. So I don't need to get the EMS only gear for her. So this will also purchase 2 sets of EMS only turnout gear. It's considerably cheaper than fire gear, but it's still $1,000 a set once everything is purchased, but it's less than the $2,200 a set that we're spending on fire gear. So that's my proposal, is to utilize the money that was already allocated to increase what I can purchase for turnout gear, but also to move up the tablet replacement that it was slated for 22 on the EMS side to this year. One of the issues we've seen with putting Medic 62 in service on a consistent basis, the tablet that we use for patient data entry has been down twice this year on Medic 60 in for repair. We have 2 of those. So if one of them is down, we can only staff 1 ambulance. I can't staff an ambulance without the means to actually input patient data. So I'd like to move that up for the other $3,500 of the AED replacement money that was allocated. So I'm actively trying to reduce what we have on the capital budget as well. I'm pretty sure all of you have heard at this point, but we were able to take the ice rescue equipment off of the fire budget for next year due to some donation money and the town of Madison money that was donated. So we're trying to kill a couple of birds with one stone with the allocated money for this year, move that tablet replacement up from 2022 to 2021 and be able to purchase a little bit more turnout gear. With this purchase this year, I'll probably ask for a little bit more money in 22 for gear purchase, but not as much as this year. Once that's done, we actually should be in a pretty good spot for the next 10 years based on what we have allocated in the capital budget. So that's my proposal. I will definitely entertain questions. Hopefully I'm being clear.
Questions, anyone? No, well, I think you've done a terrific job, you and Chief Eckloff, in seeing what we could get from Town of Madison, either paying less, or I know they gave us quite a bit of equipment too. So that's been a huge help. Well, if there are no other questions, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Motion passes. Next
Thank
item.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you. 6C, approving a revised COVID-19 policy for employees. Is there a motion to approve?
move to approve.
Second.
Brian or Leah, are you going to take this one?
Yeah, have Leah kind of walk through the policy.
Okay.
So it's been a while since we have updated this policy, and as you know, COVID is still here and still something that we have to contend with on a daily basis. So I wanted to update the policy with first any updated guidance that we have since we last updated the policy. Second, with current practice, to reflect current practice of what we're actually doing and what we've learned. And then 3, the federally provided leave, which was the expanded family medical leave for COVID-19 related reasons, expired on December 31st, 2020, and it was not renewed by Congress. So, and since COVID is still here, since it's around, I am asking the committee to consider extending 2 weeks of city paid leave to employees for COVID related reasons. So whether they have, are infected with COVID, whether they have to quarantine, whether they have to care for a close family member with COVID, or whether their child can't be in school because he or she is quarantined or sick, to extend that leave. We've already had, since the beginning of the year, 2 employees test positive for COVID, and then 4 to 5 employees quarantining. So we're still dealing with it every day. In your packet, I included a markup of the existing policy so you could see where the changes are, and then a clean copy of the changes. I don't know that it's beneficial for me to go through every single last change. So if you maybe just want to direct questions to me.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Doug and Kathy?
Fine with me.
Okay. Do either of you have any questions?
Yeah, I have. Oh, first, do we know if the proposed new COVID-19 package, that'll probably be taken up right away by Congress, do we know if that's going to extend the leave provisions?
I'm not aware that it is, no.
Okay. And then my other questions are on page 40 regarding when someone who, well, in one instance, someone who was symptomatic but tested negative returns to work, and the other is somebody who did test positive, the conditions they have to meet. But I don't, for sure in the second case, there's no requirement that they have tested negative before they can come back to work. And I'm wondering if you had considered requiring that, or if so, why you didn't include it.
I didn't include it because the Dane County Madison Public Health Department does not recommend that we make that a requirement for 2 reasons. First, it would be, I think, overreaching in terms of testing facilities and availability to have people coming back for multiple tests before they're allowed to return to work. So that's one reason. And then the second reason is that I think they are discovering that people can still be testing positive for days or weeks after they're no longer contagious with COVID. And so they've updated their guidance on when they believe someone who was COVID positive is no longer contagious and when they can come back to work. And none of that guidance includes requiring a negative test.
Okay.
Other questions?
Yeah, I have one last one, sorry. How will the sick leave be paid for? Or I guess it's not actually a budgetary impact because they would have been paid anyway. Is that
Yeah, we can't get reimbursed anymore from the feds, so it's just going to be. Well, most people are they're on salary. There's not an impact. It's going to be more if it's police officer or somebody you have to fill in for overtime, and that just got to be paid for through overtime cost.
So we're just gonna have to see how that plays out, I guess, huh?
Yes. I did read
Yeah.
though, back to Doug, one of the last ones I read about the package they're looking at, they were thinking about continuing something added in there for the sick leave. So there was something they are talking about from what I've read from the Congress.
Well, that would be good.
And Leah, just to confirm, this would be retroactive to January 1st, correct?
I think it makes sense to make it retroactive, yeah. Otherwise, we'd have a 2-week window where people weren't covered, and
And we had a couple people out at the beginning of the year, right?
yes, we did, yep.
Any other questions? Well, all in favor of the revised policy, say aye.
I,
Motion passes. Final item is acceptance of general fund accounts payable checks dated December 4th, 2020 through January 14th, 2021. Documentation of invoices paid is available in the city clerk's office. Mark, it's all yours.
And this, there could be a lot of refunds. You'll see some names. We had a lot of tax refunds this year. Some one of the things you'll notice. But just to start, kind of on page 43, Gunta Law Office. These are claims they're working on. We have not reached our maximum yet, so we still are paying the out of pocket until he reaches the max for those. Page 45, Capital Underground, our water valve leak locator. It's something that's paid through the Capital. Page 46, Dane County Contracting, the Capital City Bike Trail. They still are working on that project. Page 47, as you can see, they're just the Gov HR USA, the police chief recruitment that is going on.
Mark, you're muted.
On to page 48, Johnson Tree Care. I just wanted to let you know, forestry services, the fourth line down in there. Johnson Tree Care, Michael Johnson, he's our forestry. So we pay him one time per year. That's his annual payment. 49, MSA, they're still working on the INS project. That's going to be starting here in 2021. Page 57.
Oh, Mark, could we go back a bit? I've got a question on 52. Train US. I'm just curious about the ice rink chiller startup. Is that just something we have to bring somebody in to start? Do you know, or it was $700? Or was there a problem there?
I don't know. I have to look into the invoice. I don't know if do you remember Joan seeing that one?
I believe it's the yearly thing that company has to come in and do to get the rink going.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Page 57, City of Madison Treasure. You'll see the swimming pool, Lotus Park, Grand Crossing. These are permits we have to get with the Dane County.
Are these permits for 2021?
Yes. Page 59, you'll see a couple of these. HydroCorp, as you know, it's part of the meter replacement. They're doing cross connection inspections. So you'll see HydroCorp throughout this. We pay them a little bit at a time. And then page 61, just hitting on, here's our gas between Quick Trip and Landmarks. Gas charges are down. I mean, they're in line with what we would budget for 2021. Liftoff, the very bottom, Liftoff email license renewal. That is part of our email license we have to pay for. Page 63 is our Monona Bank. That is our credit card that we do monitor. Page 65, Purple Cow, rural recycling. It's all yard waste disposal in the dumpsters. Page 75. You see Hamburg contractors, Ridge Road and Winnequa Park Lagoon. These were the final payments, so everything's paid in full for those two contracts.
Mark, could you go back to 70? LaRoe, Gerlach, and Taggart. I think that's a law firm. I noticed there were a couple different payments to them.
That's a firm that serves the city when there's a conflict with Axley and
Okay,
not being able to take a Mimi court case. So that's
okay,
the firm that steps in for those.
okay, thank you.
Page 85, just we hit our family services, Madison. It's our EAP services. It's for everybody in the city. When he needs that hotline, that is available. There's our payment for that. Page 86, digital cameras. That's part of capital for the media fund. And on page 87, you'll see another bill for goon theft. Again, we haven't reached the threshold yet.
Is that threshold, what is it, 35,000?
37.5.
37.5, okay.
Page 93. Just going through Madison, very top, Monona East Side Business Alliance. A lot of these are the, all these are the tourism grants that were paid out. And a couple down from NCLED, LED lighting project that's been approved. And that's all I have.
Any questions about the bills?
Oh, one last one.
Okay,
Just so you know, Jerry did talk about page 99. I have this minute. The Dive Rescue International. That is the what he was talking about, the water rescue suits. And you see it's 800 funds, so it's paid out of donation accounts from the fire department.
okay, any questions? And is there a motion to accept the bills?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?